Avast ye scurvy dogs, and welcome to a playback episode of Starfleet Command, Orion Pirates Plus Mod. So apparently something very odd happened to me. I normally check my videos afterwards, but I had been a little bit in a hurry that day when I recorded these two episodes, yesterday's and today's. And so I didn't have time to actually check it before I just immediately threw it up on YouTube, and I didn't think anything would actually go wrong because, well, things very rarely do. Unfortunately, it turns out that, well, things did go very wrong. For some reason, my Shadowplay lost the mic, or rather, my computer lost the mic, and I found that by unplugging and replugging it back in, it suddenly found the mic again, and then I had to reset it in Shadowplay, and so, well, we lost the ability to talk to you guys for a short little while, which is very depressing and very sad. So there are two fairly silent episodes, or at least one that's going to go up. Hopefully this one will replace the one that was supposed to go up today, as today's episode was, well, a revelation, a stunning and important revelation for things that ended up being very, very important. So I'm going to attempt to recall what the heck was going on when I originally recorded this, and try and come out with an episode that is somewhat decent. And I'm doing this simply by, well, replaying the episode and talking over it. So this is past me back there, and this is future me speaking to you. So, how y'all doing? The future is cool and fine, and yeah, other than that, I would not get involved in Apple stock, is all I'm going to say. So, in this episode, a couple of things end up getting found out, and most important of which is engine doubling. However, we're not going to figure that out for quite some time, so if you have been screaming at me to why aren't you using engine doubling, well, the reason was because we had totally forgotten about it. So, in this mission, we ended up going up against two monsters, a sun glider and an asteroid monster. The asteroid monster is packing some serious heat. He's got a Plasma R torpedo and two Plasma F torpedoes, so he's ready to rock and annihilate things. And the sun glider is, I believe, a small version, so he's got a single phaser 4 and 4 phaser 1s, and then like 2 phaser Gs. It's not super huge, it's just frustrating. And I think I commented on my mild frustration at the beginning of this episode because I was concerned that I wouldn't be able to actually take him on, given the fact that our only primary weapon was a pair of fusion beams, so we had to get close to him. But we did decide to take over our brand new double raider, which we decided to pick up after it was pointed out, why the heck are you ignoring double raiders if you're complaining oh so often about not being in a better ship than your normal frigates? After all, you can afford the darn things. And the reason was, quite simply, I know nothing about Raider classes, okay? I need to make this very clear. In case any of you had any thoughts about my competence when it came to pirates, no. None whatsoever. I can understand a Federation ship. DDs are the same thing as what they were in real life. DDs, CLs, CCs, CAs, all that. That makes sense. That's perfectly reasonable and easy to work with, so I have no difficulty in keeping track of those. And so when it happens across factions, it's relatively easy to know what does what. However, all the pirate stuff is named weird, and so I don't know what's good and what's not. So if you know what's good and what's not, let me know, so that we can have a better and cooler campaign. Also, the other thing is, the double raiders are just a tad derpy. They are literally two raiders glued to each other. The ship model is a little bit wonky. So we came in nice and close in here so we can get a good couple of shots with the fusion cannons. They actually did a good job here. 24 damage got through on that. And unfortunately, we don't have the Gatling phasers on this boat. We're down to just a couple of phaser 3s, which takes me kind of an astonishingly long time to actually figure out that. And this is when I suddenly realized we were in trouble. Because, yeah, those were really big plasma torpedoes, and I was now very, very much afraid. I wanted to take on the sun glider first because, well, phaser 4. I'm always terrified of phaser 4s. Whenever they show up, they tend to be very dangerous. So we just looked at our normal ship just go up in smoke. That's about 470 prestige worth of a ship right there. Although we did get it for free because we blew it up. So we would be stuck in this vessel for this mission. Now, I think, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think that the phaser 4, the coloring for it has been changed, because it used to be pure white, and now I just think it's a super intense looking orangey yellow, which I'm going to have to take a look at that more often. We have faced enemies who have phaser 4s, they just haven't used them all that often. But I'm pretty sure the phaser 4 color has changed, which is interesting. Along with the major super shields are no longer white, they're a bright blue, which was a little off-putting at first, because I'm very used to having that bright white. So basically, we were going to focus on this as much as we could. The sun glider I was more afraid of. It takes him 3 turns before he can fire anything, and at the end of the day, we do have a wild weasel on board. We can basically defend ourselves as we can look away on this guy. I wasn't too worried. Okay, I was a little bit worried. I cannot lie. I was very worried. I think I spent most of this battle just whinging on about how terrified I am about getting shot in the back from those plasma torpedoes. And also didn't spend enough time realizing that he only had a single phaser Gatling, and I was concerned very much about being super close to him. Also, still had not recognized the fact that we're currently at 25 engine power. I didn't know that this double raider is normally only 20 engine power. So I didn't realize that we were taking damage because we were overcharging the engine. And I'll stop right there to avoid that big nasty plasma. However, he still has 2 plasma Fs. The monster was clever. And we also realized just how clever this monster had been, because the moment that goes away, suddenly we take plasma torpedoes. It was painful and dangerous, and as you can see, we lost a couple of systems that we are not going to get back. We don't have enough repair parts to really get back, because I'm thinking at this point, I am at half power, because I was 100% positive that I saw we had 35 energy when we first switched over to the ship. I did not realize that we did not have 35 energy. Or rather, we did, but not for reasons that I knew. So we managed to knock that down, and I said, you know what? I've got the Sun Glider down. It's handled. It's only got a single phaser one left. I can handle that. We can ignore it. We're going to focus on the big thing that if we don't pay attention to is going to absolutely annihilate us. So we took aim at the behind of a gigantic asteroid for, well, the rest of the battle. This thing is deadly and dangerous. A single plasma R torpedo against something the size of us, which is essentially, I found out, a destroyer. A single plasma R will end our day fast. So we have to pay close attention to that. If we don't, well, we'll die. And we're going to spend pretty much the whole time just sitting back here and shooting into him. However, the AI has proven to be a little bit more clever than it normally is, or at least what I thought it normally is. By the way, this is a great mine right here because he hits it. I was stunned. I didn't think that he would actually run into it, but he does. It also hurt us a little bit, or that may have been his phaser 1, but that mine ends up taking out that phaser 1 entirely. I did not realize this for a long time. An embarrassingly long amount of time. I did not realize that we had completely, totally neutered the Sun Glider. So the only threat that we had was him, and this caught me off guard, because it's like, oh god, suddenly, but we were close enough to slip on right by him. But then something else is going to happen. Something terrifying. But I think that isn't going to happen for a little while. Nope, no, it happens right here. Yeah, the high energy turn followed by another immediate high energy turn really caught me off guard. And I was cursing the game saying I did not realize that a monster would attempt to do this, but apparently the AI is willing to take risks. Because I assume an asteroid monster of that size must have like a 60% chance of pulling off that second turn. And normally they don't do that. So it was a little nerve-wracking. However, we did have a Wild Weasel ready for it, so we were able to defend ourselves. I think that's the point where I realized the Sun Glider was basically worthless. Pardon me. I am recording this fairly late at night after Warhammer because I want to try and give you guys an episode that actually had me talking in it. Although maybe that's just me being incredibly narcissistic. So yeah, we're focusing on the asteroid monster pretty much to the exclusion of anything else. Attempting to get involved in anything else would be, well, suicide. Also because the Sun Glider's useless at this point. He has no weapons. We have him completely at our mercy. And we had not realized that, well, we had our engine power currently being doubled. I think I comment a couple of points quite a few times, like, what is that banging noise? And I had thought it was because the model, as you can see, the ship model right here is it's literally 2 Orion Pirate cruisers just stacked on top of each other. Like, literally glued into each other. They're clipping through each other. And I had thought that that was causing some sort of collision thing, but then I had the problem of, well, there's no actual collision meshes here. I couldn't figure it out. It took me a long time to figure that out. So yeah, not a whole heck of a lot else is happening here. We're just sticking behind this guy as best as we can. If he turns to shoot at us, we're basically done for. We've only taken out one of his plasma torpedoes, and it's not the important one. And we need that R-type plasma torpedo out before we can actually call it safe. But now he's starting to lose power here. Now we're feeling really confident. We think, well, we've got him at this point. If he's dropping speed, he's down to 5.5 and still chugging along, and now we're starting to stun that plasma R torpedo. We've got him pretty much done for. And we couldn't get our port side weapons on the large asteroid monster, so we decided just to ditch the port side of the stern-firing phasers into the Sun Glider, see if we couldn't just hasten him to his end. However, despite the fact that he has such a huge amount of BPV left, which is telling us that his health is high, he really doesn't have it. I mean, so much of his BPV is tied up in that plasma R torpedo. If we had taken that out, he would be down to like a quarter of what his BPV value would show. So we would be feeling way more confident at that time. Sun Glider, again, being off there, totally useless. He has no weapons left, and monsters can't fix themselves, which is something that makes me wonder, if a player plays as a monster, will we be able to fix ourselves? Because at some point I do want to fly a Sun Glider during the actual campaign. And that's the point we realized we've taken out every single one of his defenses. Both of these monsters, this is basically a wildlife preserve now. But, yeah, we're just going to end them all. We have to. There's no option to just leave them like this. Although that would probably be pretty cool, though. Just leaving two space monsters completely defenseless with no other weapons, knowing that there are other space monsters out there, also poachers and other sort of things. It's really best that we went about it this way. Although it does take quite a while to, well, steadily knock them down to size. Especially when you only have, well, 3 phasers and 2 fusion beams, which take 2 turns to fire. Yeah, our starboard phaser and one of our primary central phasers just not working. We didn't have the repair parts to send into it. We instead decided to spend them on repairing the engine, which we did not know we were damaging consistently. It is going to take us a long time to figure this out. I'm actually rather excited to see the moment where I actually figure it out, see if it actually displays without me actually being able to hear myself talk at the time. So coming in on this final Sunglider, he's helpless. He's down to no BBV. He doesn't have ECM. He doesn't have a transporter, although apparently he had a transporter anyway. And he's got none of his phasers. Basically, the best thing you can hope for is to pinwheel and try and cut me in half. Unfortunately, the game does not model those physics, so we're perfectly safe. We try to get right up on top of him to hit him with all the guns. At some point soon. There it is, blasting up, but still not quite able to kill him. He's still got a pretty significant amount of armor. Are we going to slow down and actually pull in with him, or are we just going to maintain speed? I forget what I did. This was a little while ago. But yeah, we pull in right and nice tight behind him, setting up for a kill shot. I think we're going to wait for the fusion beam. Yeah, we're just waiting for the fusion beams to charge. So we increased the speed of time so we could zip on in here and tore him to pieces. I was feeling pretty good about myself. I mean, we did lose a frigate, but hey, we managed to kill 2 monsters, one of which was a plasma monster armed with plasma Rs. Yeah, that's not nothing. So we got a decent amount of prestige. Yeah, 458 prestige, which does actually pay for the boat that we lost. However, we don't have a lot of cash on hand. We did spend a cash to fix that and get more admin shuttles because we've been running into an inordinate amount of plasma lately. So we're trying to avoid dying, as that's relatively important. Accidentally hit the reset button on there. I was a little frazzled at this point because like, oh, we're losing. Game is bad. Actually, no, the game is fun, but I'm bad at playing pirates. So we fixed ourselves up, our Double Raider 3, and we set ourselves off on a mission. I thought about doing the surprise reverse, but then we decided not to do the surprise reverse for the simple reason of we don't have enough alpha output in order to wipe out all those ships before they turn on. It would be a dogfight, it would be bad, and we would lose. Yeah. And we are trying to lose. Now, at this point, I am commenting, wait a second, I thought this thing had more power. I know this thing had more power, and I'm trying to figure it out. You can see the little wheels turning in past me's head as he's going, what the heck is going on here? I know we have more power. Where is that power coming from? At some point, I will figure it out, I guarantee it. And near, we're zipping on in, we see a frigate, it's way out there, and yep, I found it, I figured it out. I'm like, oh my god, it's doubling, it's engine doubling. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Yep, slow down the speed of time, thinking about it, looking around, and there I see it, right there. Toggle engine doubling. What engine doubling does, and I think I just explained this earlier in this episode, but heck, I'm going to explain it anyway because I was so darn excited when I figured this out. Engine doubling is a trait that is on only the pirate raider ships, and I don't know if this is in Starfleet battles. I assume it is because 90% of the things that are in this game are also in Starfleet battles. But engine doubling is a way that a pirate can basically, literally, double his engine power. So we have 20 engine power right now. We will go to 40 engine power. That's a lot. That's a heck of a lot for a destroyer. That's like battle cruiser range right there. And so but the engine takes damage every turn. We start hurting ourselves to do this. So the longer you have your engine doubled, the more you're relying on your engine doubled to have any power at all. And eventually, well, your ship will eventually explode. You cannot survive on it indefinitely. So engine doubling is great for short periods where you need a lot of shields or where you need a lot of engine power or you just want to charge all the weapons and all the shields and travel at a decent speed, but for a very short period of time. And I am just ecstatic about finding this out because now we got a real fight, a real system that we can use. I was wondering what I was missing playing Pirates, and I really think this is it. That we have at our disposal for a short period of time the opportunity to basically maximize engine output, which can put us in a situation where, oh, I guess it's not doubling, it went up by 15, where it puts us in a position to have decent enough shields to hold back most of that damage and still blast through these fighters. And that is pretty important. Now, we still did take quite a bit of damage from that Gatling phaser fire, and this fight is not going to go quite as well as I had hoped. We are going to, I think, yeah, commit our fusion beams there, because we needed to kill him. And the minute we turned off the engine doubling, we had it on for about 2 turns, so we ended up taking 2 points of engine damage. Or it may have been less than that. It may be 1 turn for 2 points. I'm not quite sure how the math is going to work out on that. I am going to have to pay more attention to that, because it is going to be an important thing. But yeah, we are down to 18 points of power, so now we need to repair it, which also means we need to stock up on repair parts a heck of a lot more in this campaign, because we're going to be spending a lot of them. Managed to get a couple of hits on through the inelectable, which hopefully will not be able to destroy us. Well, I actually know how this battle is going to go, but I'm not going to tell you. It will remain a secret. We will dump a mine into him. I can't remember if this hit. I don't think it does, although we do start setting a pretty decent minefield in this map. We take damage from the most annoying tactic in the universe, as we just steadily try and repair systems. Our engines are back at full power. So we're back to up to 20 points of energy. However, he's just steadily whittling away our shields because we can't maintain speed, charge the weapons, and maintain a decent amount of power if we're not engine doubling. I don't remember if we decide to I know we end up maximizing the engine a little bit later, but I think it's going to take a little bit before I start committing to that. Because I'm normally not a fan of techniques that hurt yourself. Generally not quite what I'm interested in doing, but hey, if we want to win this campaign, we're going to have to make use of absolutely every sneaky trick in the book. And I think it's a pretty sneaky trick, and it's going to work out pretty nicely for us once we actively start using it. Making more use of our mines to allow us to back off the hydrants, that's critically important, quite frankly. The amount of firepower they have at a range of 3 and less is just absurd because of phaser gatlings. And we managed to cut him open a little bit. However, we are going to take a hit. Did we get the shield around? No, he just didn't end up using him. Nope, there it is. We did get the shield around, though, and that's important. Keeping hydrants at bay is really important. At point-blank range, they are just incredibly powerful. Unfortunately, our ship is not designed like that. Our ship is designed, well, like a hydrant ship, so we need to get to point-blank range before we can hurt them. Unfortunately, he is better at close range because he has those Gatling phasers. He's got 8 phaser 3 shots out of those Gatling phasers. We have 4 phaser 3s on board. He's got double our phaser 3 armament, basically. Although we have a much better phaser 1 armament, which we should have been taking better advantage of. We were trying to cause damage and it wasn't working out. He also maintains a way higher speed than we do, and it's something that we eventually will need to get used to, just shoving engine power into the engines instead of the weapons. I'm thinking about just discarding one of those fusion beams and turning it off completely because, well, it's better to have at least one fusion beam firing a semi-reasonable period instead of having 2 fusion beams that never charge. I think we're going to have an opportunity to shoot down this shield. Don't know if we're going to get the shot, though. It is at a relatively long range. Not hugely. I mean, 5 is about the maximum range you want to be shooting phaser 1 at. Not because that's the maximum we can do, but that's where it really kind of starts doing damage. We do get a couple of fusion blasts in. However, as you can see, it only did 5 damage apiece, which is not tremendous. Fusion cannons are just, they're point-blank range only weapons, which is why I kind of think that that we may want to limit them so that the AI can only shoot out to a certain range. Because otherwise, well, they waste them a lot. But I don't quite want to take away the flexibility of heavy weapon away from the AI, especially when if they overload them, they get a limited range of 8 anyway. Maybe there's something we can add into the logic so that the AI can only shoot fusion beams at about a range of 8. Or no, what I mean is that they should always try and overload their fusion beams. Because that's where they're most useful. Well, it's not great for a great example for this specific mission because he's got no fusion beams, and we've been running into a lot of carriers, which I suppose does make sense because these light escort carriers are perfect for anti-piracy operations, as our currently horrifically dented ship is attesting to. So we'll steadily curl on in here, try and get a good shot on him. I think we're going to get something good. We have all our 5 of our phasers, yep, able to cut right through. Unfortunately, our starboard phaser wasn't quite in range to shoot. We do continue to whittle away at his shields. Eventually, we're going to get a nice advantage at some point. Hopefully. It is rather difficult. Our hull integrity is holding up quite nicely. Their hull integrity is down by about, I want to say about a 1/6. And I only want to say that because I've been playing Warhammer all night, so a 1/6, we think in 6s because we roll d6s a lot. Phasers firing out, not getting through our shields. We almost ran into a mine, which is our own mine, which would have been embarrassing, especially in a ship this badly dented. Luckily, we do have all our shields back. And do I decide to go 360 shield? Or am I still just buffing the 1? And yep, we've gone for engine doubling. We want this shield reinforced. We want the engine bar. Look at that. We're cruising along at a speed of 31 now. And look at that shield bar. We are putting 12.5 points of energy into the shield while cruising around at a speed of 31 and holding fusion beams. Side note, I don't know if it actually costs any energy to actually hold a fusion beam. We are just ripping along. We slowed down to get more power into the orange shield, but we are just zipping along. And it's so very nice to have that capability. Because once you kick that thing on, you are, one, you're on the clock. You gotta win, because now you're hurting yourself. But two, you just have so much energy. It's incredible. Can you imagine if the Federation DD had an engine doubling feature? It's a ship that cannot power the amount of weapons it has, because it's literally got a heavy cruiser amount of weaponry on, well, a destroyer hull, which doesn't work. But if it had engine doubling, and it could, for short periods of time, bring all of its weapons online to bear at full speed while charging shields, that'd be amazing. I really want to get into like a light or a heavy cruiser with that engine doubling capability, because that'll give you options. That gives you so many wonderful options. It's got to be used at the right moment, because if you just turn it out at the beginning of the match, well, you're going to run yourself dry and eventually you'll be dead. But at the right opportunity, it can be really devastating. And I, for one, am going to look forward to finding the limits of that throughout this campaign. Also, yeah, we're doing okay. We're doing reasonably. This campaign, I know we've had some serious ups and downs, especially with the number of ships we lost, but I feel that getting used to the new pirate style is important. Also, we're playing on a higher difficulty level. The last time we did, we were flying a plasma. So we're having to learn, I want to say new and different lessons at the same time, because we're learning the lesson of how to play this game on Admiral in a race that doesn't have the biggest sledgehammer in the universe. But at the same time, we're also just getting used to it. So that's going to be pretty much the episode for today. We are going to patch the ship. We may end up taking a look at the shipyard. I don't quite remember. But both those missions lasted a pretty decent amount of time, so that'll run up the whole episode. Yeah, we're going to check on through, look for cool stuff. This is what we start looking at. A salvage cruiser. This is kind of what I'm looking at getting. It's got 4 missile launchers and 2 fusion beams. It's decent. I'm not 100% sold on it, though, because it's only missile rack A's. And I do point that out. See my cursor. It's only missile rack A's. That means it's only got 4 reloads. It's not sustained firepower. It's got a very brief opportunity of causing damage, and then it runs dry. I'm just trying to compare two different, the SAL-2s and the SAL-1s, because I don't know the difference of any of these ships. I realized it was a Gatling phaser. But yeah, if you know, well, anything about this, about pirates, let me know, because I am desperate for information at this point. Anyway, I think I'm doing the wrap-up right here, and so I will follow suit. I've been Tarek. If you like what you've been seeing, hit that like button and subscribe. If you want to see a notification every time I release one of these videos, press that little bell icon, leave a comment, and I will see you all in the next episode.